What if you could take a piece of wild, beautiful land and turn it into a place that heals, inspires, and sustains both you and your guests without selling your soul or breaking the bank? Today's episode is a powerful story of vision, values, and very real action. I'm joined by Brendan Riley, the heart and soul behind Marmora Retreat and Boho-Luxe Glamping in Ontario. He's a father of three, a full-time project manager, and one of the hardest working, most soulful entrepreneurs I've met. In this conversation, we explore how Brendan's transformed raw land into a thriving, wellness-focused escape, why glamping is the business model that finally felt right, and how he's now using crowdfunding not just to raise capital, but to build community, deepen trust, and expand without compromise. This is the future of experiential hospitality. It's business with heart, built lightly on the land, but deeply rooted in purpose. And whether you're dreaming of launching your own site, scaling what you've started, or just looking for a more aligned way to grow, Brendan's story will inspire you to go after it. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Glamping Americas podcast, the place for inspiration about the business of upscale camping, glamping, and luxury outdoor guest accommodations. I'm Sarah Riley from the Glamping Academy, and I'm working with my friends at the Glamping Show Americas to share everything you need to know about new trends, events, business models, and investment potential in the rapidly growing world of luxury camping that delivers an experience. Interest in this industry is exploding, so if you want to be the first to find out what's hot and what's not, subscribe here and check out the show notes for more exciting news and links. And be sure to add the next Glamping Show Americas to your calendar for the 30th of September to the 1st of October 2025 near Denver, Colorado. I can't wait. Brendan, it's so amazing to have you here because I know for you, time is really precious. We have worked together since the end of last year, and I have to honestly say you are probably one of the hardest working people I know. So share a little bit about what you do and also about Marmora Retreat.
Well, thank you, Sarah, and thank you for having me on your podcast. I really do appreciate it and this opportunity to tell my story. And it's been really, really amazing working with you. You've helped me so much in my growth and in my learning. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for that as well.
You're most welcome.
So I'm a father of three. I do have a full daytime job. I'm a construction project manager. I am juggling a lot. I do have, my kids are very active and very sporty. So just the usual kind of parenting day to day, keeping your 9 to 5 job going, keeping your head above water kind of deal. But Marmora Retreat, it's a beautiful and peaceful escape that's tucked away on 24 acres of nature and waterfront in rural Ontario. It's a place where guests can slow down and breathe deeper and reconnect with themselves and their loved ones and the natural world around them. Whether it's a quiet solo reset or a romantic getaway or a group retreat, everything we offer is designed to restore, ground, and inspire our guests. We blend earthy comfort with thoughtful experiences, from our comfy farmhouse stays to wellness offerings to our glamping domes, corporate retreats. At its core, I'd say Marmora is about helping people feel welcomed and more connected and leaving feeling more whole than when they actually arrived. I purchased the property about 5 years ago, actually July. So exactly 5 years ago. I saw a lot of potential in the land and in the property, and the intention has always been to share the space with like-minded people. The property initially was 39 acres. I severed the property 3 years ago, essentially into two parcels. One parcel, 24 acres, which has the farmhouse and the glamp site. And then the other 15 acres is currently just sitting raw land. We initially started with short-term rentals with the farmhouse, kind of large group gatherings for friends, families, Hindus, that kind of thing. But every year I've grown it year after year, keeping in mind every new offering or experience to help the guests pause and reconnect and to breathe again. I've always tried to offer soulful experiences and nature immersion. With recently, it's been a focus on wellness. I do see a big shift in the industry in kind of wellness offerings. And then just to touch on the dome, 2 years ago, I added our first dome, which has done really well. I was kind of beta testing the market. So we've had very positive feedback with that. And then last year, I added the alpacas, which are very, very cute and adorable, cold plungers and steam pods. This year, I've successfully rezoned the 24-acre parcel to an RRC zoning, which is Resort Recreational Commercial Rezoning. It's a lengthy and expensive process, which I navigated by myself, not using any planners, just to keep costs down. Zoning now allows for micro weddings and other large group gatherings up to 100 guests, with additional accommodations on the property, which now includes the glam site development.
You've done so much work and all of this whilst also managing family, children, everything else that comes from the fact that you don't actually live on the site, you're living further away, so you have to drive as well. So it's all of that time. And one of the things that I remember thinking about when we first met and you were talking about your vision for the land and your vision for the glamping and how you're going to move forward. And some of the things you were saying were so anchored in wellness, in the wellness aspect of your guest, but also how you were going to connect them to the land. And when you were talking about all those spaces that you're designing and that people would be able to sit and ponder and have tranquil, peaceful time, but you were going to design those areas so that they had all those sensory experiences with the plants and the wildlife and rewilding. So tell me why that means so much to you, just that whole aspect of designing those sensory experiences for your guest.
It just kind of takes their stay, takes their experience to the next level. You really want to kind of give the guests these experiences that they're not initially asking for on the outlay, but that's what they really need. They want the Instagram worthy kind of photos and, look at me and posting on their profiles and that. But to get serious about it on the back end, it's important for me to be able to give them the space and the opportunity to breathe and reset and recalibrate themselves and go back, like I said, feeling more whole and feeling more refreshed. And being able to hit on all these different senses just really does kind of elevate their stay and their experience. And it creates that kind of stickiness, I call it, where they want to come back. These feelings are sticking with them, and they tell their friends and their family, and people come back for more.
It's really interesting what you said there, because that's a perfect marketing term. Essentially, what you were saying was sell them what they want, give them what they
Give
need.
them what they need.
So they want those Instagrammable moments, which is what you're selling them. But actually, when they get there, they realized they needed to wind down, they needed to connect with nature, they needed those sensory experiences and everything else in nature. And what you give them is that full experience. So I'm really interested in why you think glamping is the business model for you and why you've now decided to expand your glamping offering. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent model. I really, really do. I really believe in it, and I'm all in on it. I'll tell you why. I see it as a natural next step in kind of offering immersive and design-forward experiential stays. On top of this, there's a massive shift in experiential wellness, like we just mentioned, and they're very unique and interesting micro resorts and landscape hotels, they call them, which are entering into the industry. Guests want more than just accommodation. They want story, they want design, they want that feeling and emotion, and I think they want meaning. This, of course, all gets kind of wrapped up or packaged up in those Instagrammable moments, which obviously, like, digital marketing is a hugely critical part of any successful glamping business, but that's a different podcast. I like how glamping allows for kind of comfort and connection to nature without kind of overdevelopment of the land. It's very soft on the land. We design for modern guests trying to achieve luxury with soul and also adventure with ease and comfort. More click-worthy things. If you want heat, instead of kind of building a fire, you just push a button and you got your infrared radiant heat, or a fire, or whatever the case may be. From a business standpoint, I've been in real estate investing for over 15 years now, and everything from legalizing a basement apartment to building low-rise multiplex buildings to mid-rise mixed-use projects. I was involved in many areas of these types of models, and they definitely taught me a lot, but they also came with a high entry cost, a lot of risk, factors outside of your control, a ton of red tape and bureaucracy, and a long absorption period before you really start seeing any return. This glamping model I'm working with now, you buy raw or lightly developed land, you build experiential hospitality around it. You can get even more creative with this. You can buy rural land on acreage and sever a portion of the property to either sell off the parcel or start something of your own, like vegetable garden or nature trail or a petting farm. You really are limited to your own creativity. These secondary projects not only complement and support your core glam site offering, they also unlock additional revenue streams. This strategically directly boosts your ROI, as well as significantly lowers your cost to entry. Essentially, you're paying for one piece of land, but creating the opportunity to build out multiple high impact ventures. It's a smarter and safer way, and way more flexible way to develop and work with the land in today's world that we live in, I think. You're also getting in at a lower cost with less exposure versus buying an income property in the city. Here in Toronto, where I live, it's really expensive to buy property land inside the city. So you've got a ton of flexibility in how you structure and run your projects. When it's set up right, your overheads stay lean. You're not locked into fixed rental income. You have way more room to move with the market and to be more seasonal, I guess. Here's also what's really interesting for me is once you rezone and you get the right entitlements in place. So now we're just focused on just buying land and rezoning it. Forget about the lot severance for a second. Every unit you buy online chips away at your original land cost. So the cost per door, per se, gets lower with each unit. While your margins grow, you're unlocking serious value from the land that's otherwise just sitting there underutilized. But this model isn't just smart financially, it's powerful in terms of experience. We're in the experiential hospitality space, which means we're not just offering a stay, we're offering that feeling, that emotion. And that creates what I call an emotional stickiness in the brand within Marmora Retreat, essentially. People don't forget the feeling of soaking in an outdoor copper tub underneath the stars or watching alpacas graze as the sun sets. That sticks with them and it brings them back over and over again to the glam sites or to the resort. It spreads and word gets around, and this is how you grow your business. What's also exciting is how versatile this model is. You can get really creative. The sites don't just operate as accommodations, they become venues of all sorts of retreats, corporate retreat, wellness bundles, add-on experiences, pop-up dining, even brand partnerships if you want to get really creative, which I'm looking into now, actually. So you're monetizing across multiple streams with a single piece of land. That kind of flexibility isn't possible in most traditional real estate sectors, none that I've seen anyway. And because we're working lightly on the land, using off-grid or low-impact structures, the environmental footprint stays very low, which I really like, while the guest experience stays high. People are craving that balance and they want to unplug. They want to disconnect to reconnect is our tagline, but they don't want to sacrifice comfort. I believe this is the sweet spot that we're building in right now. From a financial angle, it also acts as a strong hedge, meaning that the land appreciates, the rezoning adds value, and the business brings in steady, active cash flow. So you're building equity, generating revenue, and increasing asset value all at the same time. What I love most is that this model allows me to reinvest back into what really matters: thoughtful design, seamless operating systems, and intentional guest experiences that actually make people feel something. The more efficient we are, the more we can pour into the things that elevate the guest stay. What I find super fun and cool is it keeps me coming back for more. It gives me the freedom to keep one foot in creativity and one foot in business. I get, to design beautiful spaces, curate wellness bundles and unique guest experiences, as well as collaborate with local partnerships and small businesses in the area. It's scalable, but it's not soulless. It allows me to be exactly who I am and not have to try fit in a mold that is not my true authentic self. That's what I found myself doing in my previous real estate business ventures, is trying to be someone that I wasn't. It can be cutthroat out there when you're working with developers and private equity funds and things like that. So this model just suits me and my personality a lot better. At the end of the day, you're not just buying land, you're actually activating it. You're turning it into something meaningful for the guests and for your business and for the legacy that you leave behind. And then lastly, on a personal note, I'd say kind of expanding into the glamping world is lifestyle driven. I'm creating something that reflects how I want to live, and it reflects my values and how I want to raise my boys.
Is that part of your why, would you say? Well, there's so many whys, we're all wrapped up in that. You know, your
Yeah.
legacy, your boys, and
Mhm.
being gentle on the land. I mean, is
Mhm.
that your vision, and now your vision for expansion because of that why, and because what you're doing and the business model you've chosen is allowing you to explore that why and to really implement it?
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of whys for me, and I think we all have, nobody has just one why. Life has many shades of gray, but kind of creating a business and a lifestyle that aligns with my personal values, it's hard to align that, right? To align your work and outside of work and your kids and your values, to try and find something like that. Experiential hospitality. I've been doing this glamping and the farmhouse Marmora retreat for 5 years, but I've been involved in it for previous years. But so I found that I'm very comfortable around this, and it's me, I can breathe in it. But it's not necessarily for everyone, but definitely creating a business and a lifestyle that aligns with your personal values is very important. And it's something definitely to aspire towards. Showing my kids this business model or the work that I'm doing that reflects my values, and which is connecting to nature and putting in the hard work and using creativity and being integral with everything that you do. I want them to see firsthand and hopefully remember in their adult years that it's possible to carve out your own path, and that anything is possible when you apply yourself and whenever you set your mind to it. I also obviously want to create a lifestyle where I have the freedom to do what I want and when I want. That's important to me. And I think, it sounds cliche, but that is something I definitely aspire to. And another big part of my why is being raised in South Africa. I remember being inspired by nature and having this childhood wonder with it all. And I remember it bringing me so much joy and peace. And I want to recreate that wonder and that joy and that peaceful feeling that to others, essentially, that didn't have that feeling when they grew up. I love hosting like-minded guests that share the same values as I do. And it's so rewarding that I'm at the property, and when I speak with guests and I hear them talk about their day and see their faces light up when they're talking about their experiences and their overall stay. At the same time, I'm also wired to grow. I don't think I ever stop challenging myself to do more or to be better or to show up fully in whatever I'm passionate about. And this expansion and everything I've poured into my own retreat and Boho-Luxe glamping is a reflection of that. It's me pushing past my comfort zones and constantly learning and constantly refining, not just for the sake of the business, but because that's how I want to live. And I love the saying, live full and die empty.
There's so many people that I've spoken to over the years, and one of the things they often say is, I just want my kids to be able to run around on the land and really
Mm,
enjoy it, but
mm,
also for it to make an income and for other
mhm.
people to enjoy it as well. I mean, is that something that you're able to do with your boys? Get them up to play around with the alpacas and things like that?
Yeah, I do take my boys up whenever I can. In this phase of the business where we've started the glam site development and we're growing that and we're building that, whenever I'm there, it's boots on the ground, it's go, go, go. So it's difficult to kind of be the parent instead of the builder and the entrepreneur and the go-getter and the guy that gets it done, because you can't do both at the same time. I've tried many, many times and it doesn't really work. So whenever I do take my boys up there, it's a time that I'm able to disconnect, to reconnect to what matters most to me, and that's my boys. So yeah, I take them up to the alpaca and we feed them, and they live in the city, right? So they're not as used to or familiar with what's going on there as what I am. I'm up there every second weekend whenever I can, because like you mentioned, I'm 2 hours away from the actual glam site from Marmora retreat. So it's a very active, thriving business. So it does require me to be there, and I want to be there anyway whenever I can. But yeah, whenever I take my boys up, I'd like to think that this will create memories for them for many years to come. And they'll think back fondly of kind of what we've done and, what I was showing them and all that I've been doing there. And they'll use it for their greater good, whatever way, shape, or form that takes.
I think that's amazing, and they're very lucky boys, let's put it that way. So
Hmm.
let's talk funding for a moment.
Hmm.
You are expanding and you are using a very innovative approach for raising funds for the
Hmm.
expansion. So tell me
Hmm.
a little bit about that.
Sure. So I'm using something, it's crowdfunding. Okay. And so crowdfunding is not just to raise capital, but it's to grow your Instagram followers, it's to grow your mailing list. And this is actually how I started or, got into crowdfunding. It was to achieve those two aspects. But now I've realized that it's a perfect opportunity to do both, to increase my Instagram followers and my mailing list, but also to raise funds to help bring the Boho-Luxe glamping to life, essentially. I partner with Indiegogo as a crowdfunding platform, and LaunchBoom, who specializes in helping creators like myself run strategic and successful campaigns. They've given me a clear blueprint to follow that really boosts the chances of hitting our goals. The pre-launch strategy has been pretty hands-on. We've been A/B testing different Facebook ad campaigns, playing with different headlines, visuals, copy, and targeting different audiences. The ads that perform the best help us fine-tune our messaging. So when we go live, we're leading with what actually works. The idea is to build as much momentum as possible before day one of going live. At the core, essentially, crowdfunding is really just pre-selling of stays. Supporters choose from different booking tiers, like 50% off a 3-night midweek stay or a 40% off a weekend escape, let's say. And there are also exclusive perks like wellness bundles, early or late check-in options, other thoughtful add-ons you won't really see outside of the campaign. So to unlock these, you need to sign up as a VIP backer with a $50 deposit. This also gives you first access to the booking calendar before we open to the public. What I love most about this model is that it invites early guests to be part of the journey. They're not just buying a stay, they're helping shape something really, really special. They're co-creators of Boho-Luxe glamping. And I think that's a pretty cool way to launch this experience. Crowdfunding isn't just about money, it's about building trust and momentum with your community. So super excited to get this started. And we're a couple weeks away from launching, actually, going live.
Oh, that's really
Yeah.
exciting. So I think this is something that people are using more and more, actually. There was a
Hmm.
period of time when crowdfunding was kind of one of those things that people tried out, and maybe they weren't very successful with it because they didn't use the blueprint. And maybe there were other things that caused it to flop, and it was a
Right.
struggle to get the money that they wanted to get.
Hmm.
But now, with everything going on in the world of politics and local funding and grants and everything else, and all kinds of things that are going on and shifting sands, I'm seeing people using crowdfunding more often
Hmm.
and it being more successful each time.
Hmm.
Part of this is because the actual audience who are being presented the crowdfunding opportunity are more understanding of what it is and what's in it for
Hmm.
them.
Hmm.
And also because the owner of the project is actually putting together the project a lot better. So
Hmm.
there's the trust signals and things like that, which are much better than they were
Hmm.
before, for example. So people
Hmm.
won't pay for things unless they trust you.
Yeah.
So if there is another owner out there who's thinking of doing a crowdfunding project, what would you say to them is really important to include in their project to try to encourage the more likely success of that project?
I mean, that's a good question. I would say number one is to build that trust is to show proof of concept, essentially. Crowdfunding is getting more popular and there are more people diving into it. We are seeing more successes, but also like historically, my understanding is some of these crowdfunding campaigns have flopped because the owner goes in or the creator goes in and they have a great vision, they have a great concept, they got great renderings, and they're very strong out the gates, but they soon lose steam. And for whatever reason or another, you really do have to navigate and carefully plan and be diligent and be very focused on this in order to have a successful campaign and to get it off of the ground. So yeah, it really is just to show that proof of concept and to build that trust within the backers. Luckily for me, I built my first dome a little under 2 years ago now. So in my videos that I've been shooting, in the copy that I'm adding, in the updates, you can see that Dome 1, which isn't a Boho-Luxe glamping dome, it doesn't have those sort of amenities. I'm looking to convert that a little bit down the road, but we've actually done it. We got that proof of concept. It has been a success. We've actually built it. We have that 1 or 2 years worth of experience of operating it and know what works and what doesn't work and things like that. And just to be clear with your messaging, to be clear with on what your offer is. Yeah, I mean, those are the two things that come to mind, is to build that trust, to show that proof of concept if you can, and to be clear and concise with what you're offering. And then also you could look at kind of A/B testing, making sure that before you go live, making sure that you've done the work on the back end with the ads and what works, what doesn't work, to change the headers, to change the visuals, to change the captioning. Do all of that ahead of time before you go live. That'll really help set you up in a better spot for success. And then lastly, to run your pre-campaign for as long as you can. I don't have that luxury. I'm trying to hit the summer market, and I'm going to be just maybe missing it a little bit for whatever reason. But I really did wish that I had a longer pre-launch campaign, 6 to 8 months versus my 4 to 6 weeks, essentially. So that's the advice that I'd give, I think.
What you're saying there about the pre-campaign, I mean, that's so important with many things, including even just launching a business, let alone launching the campaign, the crowdfunding campaign. So I like to consider it to be a runway, so like a plane runway. So the bigger the plane, the bigger the project, the bigger the amount of money you're asking for, the longer the runway has to be to get that plane off the ground. So like you say, it's better to have that longer lead-in time so that you can get people interested, excited, wanting to find out more, knocking on your door to say, how can I find out about this one? I suppose it would be wrong of me not to mention where this has gone wrong for a few sites, the crowdfunding. And
it has,
in most of the time, the crowdfunding, when it goes wrong, is usually in the delivery afterwards. So as you said, you've got proof of concept, you can deliver afterwards because you've proved that. But there's been a number of sites who have tried to do this, and they have started from zero. They've got the crowdfunding, actually got the funding in place. But then when they went to implement, they weren't able to because they hadn't thought of really vital elements. And actually, unbelievably, one of the sites that gained $250,000 in a very short amount of time, they hadn't even got their zoning and permissions in place. So then when it came to them actually building the sites, they weren't able to. And as from your experience, you know that zoning and permissions takes such a long time. And so that's when things can come unstuck a little bit. But yeah, testing ideas, what you were saying that about A/B testing, that's so important. And then I think that we are going to see more of this, because as maybe things are a bit more challenging when you're going to individual investors, being able to go to the crowd for a smaller amount of investment is proving to be more successful to some business owners. So are you using a mixture of that? So going to individual investors or institutions and also using crowdfunding, or are you choosing to go just down one road at the moment?
No, I'm just going down the crowdfunding route. Essentially, I have enough financial resources through other means to kind of see this project through. Like I said, initially, when I was looking into crowdfunding, it was to grow my social media presence and my followers, essentially. I thought, oh, this is a great idea. This is one way to do that. there's many different ways to do that. And then I looked more into it. I was like, oh, well, okay, this is a serious thing, and it really does work. It is a viable concept and strategy to raise funds. And then I was like, okay, well, why not? I might as well, raise funds and grow my follower base. So obviously, this isn't a corporation. I don't have VC money or VC backing, venture capital backing. Yeah, it's kind of scraped my knees along the way. It's kind of scrummaging all the change between the couch seats and, emptying out my bank accounts and the crowdfunding to get this project completed and off the ground and take me to the next level, essentially.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I
Mm.
can just imagine you just scrummaging around your couch to find the loose change. That was
It's happened
brilliant.
a couple of times. Kidding.
I I do think that it's really important to understand the value of crowdfunding. And one of the things that's really clear from other large corporations who do use crowdfunding on the quiet to test their product ideas,
Mhm.
that,
Yeah.
that just demonstrates
Yeah.
how good it is. So,
Yeah.
just for anyone who hasn't heard of that, big corporations who are thinking of launching a new product will launch a version of that product, maybe without the branding, on
Mm.
crowdfunding to see what the response is by the public. And
Yeah.
if there's a really strong response, they'll go forward with that product and they'll launch it. So it might be a new type of shoe or a new type of
Mhm.
drink or a new type of food. And they
Yeah.
do that on crowdfunding to test
Mhm.
the thoughts and the feedback of the crowd,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
also potentially get some money in advance to
Mhm.
help with then the development of that product going forward.
Yeah.
So, if these big corporations are using it as a means of testing ideas, and smaller businesses should definitely be using it.
Mhm.
And it's just, as you say, a matter of really understanding that it's not a process of just throwing up a bit of information and then hoping that you'll be able
Mhm.
to get the money you want.
Yeah.
You really got to approach it like
Mhm.
you are fine tuning a very important investment pitch. You're just
Mhm.
investment pitching to
Mhm.
a crowd of people who will be potentially your customers in the future
Mhm.
rather than just your investors.
Mhm.
And yeah, the pre-campaign, the launch runway, always think about that for sure.
Yeah. Well, just to add to that, so the great thing about crowdfunding is that you're testing to the market, like you said, but also what you're doing is you're able to receive feedback on your idea, on your concept. And now you can have a prototype that is in the pre-launch phase, and you're testing, right? You're doing the A/B testing. You're getting feedback from the market, from your backers, from interested parties, and you can change and tweak your prototype so that before you actually go live, you could have changed your prototype 5 or 10 or 15 times, depending on the runway, right? And now when it actually hits the market, it is a much better, much cleaner, much more optimized, much more appealing product, concept, service, whatever it is, to the market, because you've taken the time, because you've done your due diligence, because you've allocated the necessary resources and time to go through the process in the correct manner, and this just sets you up for the best success possible when you actually go live.
Yeah, that's really vital. And the fact that these crowdfunding platforms already do have an audience as well, even
Mhm.
though the owner of the project is expected to bring their own audience to the platform as
Mhm.
well. In fact, that's a signal for the crowdfunding platform to then promote more openly your own project on their platform. But nevertheless, you do have a full room of people who are interested to sit there and hear about your project.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that means that, as you said, you can test your ideas, you can refine your
Mhm.
product, you can generate your funding.
Mhm.
But where we are becoming more and more invisible online with the changes that are going on with SEO, search engine optimization, we need to be looking at different ways that we can be found. And the supporters of the crowdfunding projects, the fact that they are on these platforms, that's another way to be found.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's a really fantastic thing that you've done. So when is your project about to go live?
We're aiming for mid-August. So, 15th, 16th of August is when we're going to go live, and we'll have our first backers that will be staying at the Glamp site. Yeah, we're still in the pre-launch phase at the moment. So there's two different types of backers or people that you want to target. Initially, you want to fill up that VIP list. You want to get as many VIP backers as possible. When you're using Facebook targeted ads and Meta ads, and the first A/B testing is it's people that click. It's more kind of clickbait. People that just want to kind of are interested in things and just do more clicking versus purchasing. You then get to a point where of the campaign where now you're going to switch. You're going to turn off that ad essentially, and now you would have created and now you turn on an ad through a different type of A/B testing now for people that are more buying. They click and they buy, right? So it really is timing as well, kind of at what stage of the campaign do you switch from just clickbaits just to kind of grow your mailing list and your VIPs to more now, people that are actually taking action and they will be buying the discounted rates or buying whatever package there is really. So yeah, it's all about timing and knowing when to flip over. But yeah.
So, if somebody wants to have a look at your crowdfunding campaign and
Mhm.
see also what other services you provide and a little bit about Marmora Retreat, where should they go?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So go to our website, marmoraretreat.ca. That's Marnora retreat.ca. And if you click on the Stays tab, there'll be a drop-down bar, and you'll see Boho-Luxe Glamping coming soon. You can click on that, and that'll take you to the page, and there'll be a link there that you can click, and then you can buy into the VIP backing campaign, and you can get your early bookings.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Brendan, because I really do believe that crowdfunding is the new way to find investment
Mhm.
for your new project, but also to test ideas and to find followers. There's so many
Mhm.
different things you can use it for.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that you've shared your experience with it here today.
Mhm.
And so just one final question. So
Mhm.
what's your hopes and aspirations for the future of this industry?
Yeah, I mean, I want to keep growing and refining Mama Retreat into one of the most meaningful and wellness focused and experiential destinations in Canada. And not just in terms of design or amenities, but a place where people genuinely feel some sort of connection with the land. My goal is to make Mama Retreat a feeling that stays with guests whenever they're there. I'm also working on my most exciting and most awesome project yet. I'm rezoning the neighboring lot, the 15 acres that I mentioned, so I can build Canada's first tree pod village. I know we've touched on this briefly, but it really will be one of a kind, elevated and immersive forest experience. The site will offer next level experiential hospitality, including a farm to table food and beverage program and a stunning indoor lounge called The Nest. Everything I've learned from the farmhouse, past 5 years of running the farmhouse, to my first dome for the past 2 years running that, to the Boho-Luxe glamping that we've just built or that we're in the process of building. And this will all feed into this next project. It'll be kind of Boho-Luxe 2.0, but up in the trees. We'll have a small farm where we can grow our own food and offer chef-led farm-to-table meals that bring people together for a great community-type vibe. The Pod Village community will also have play and creative areas, a gorgeous swimming pond. I intend taking the learnings from the crowdfunding raise and actually rolling it into a separate crowdfunding raise for my Tree Pod Village concept. And in the next couple of years, I want to start hosting my own men's retreats, actually, using all the great features that Mama Retreat will offer at that time. It's something that I've thought about for a while now, and I'll be bringing in industry leaders from all sectors of life, from business to spirituality to relationship building to dealing with addictions that will help lead these types of experiences. And I truly believe it'll be something powerful and much needed for our community and for the men out there. Mom Retreat in the land has been there for me in times of need and times of healing. And I know I can create the same safe space for other men to feel and to heal the same way that I have.
That's what I love about you, that you just have all these amazing big ideas and there's just no pulling you back. It's just fabulous. I love it. So you will
Thank you.
definitely be coming back on the podcast to talk about all of that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you, though. You are a very busy person, but thank you so much for your time today, Brendan. And I look forward to catching up with you soon.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to being back.
Wonderful. Bye-bye.
Bye.